let's go back to how the American anthem was conceived. Let's go, guys. Look at those colors. Those are three of my favorite colors: blue, white, and red with black.
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners.
So guys, I think it's going to be one of the sadder videos that I'm going to watch, and it's going to also be wholesome, because here they're trying to feel how American anthem was conceived, and just the tone and the background music makes it so emotional, because it must involve a story of people losing their life and stuff like that. And I'm just an African guy reacting on these American stories, American technology, American capabilities. I am just not just a YouTuber making these videos. I am a fan of your country and I love technology. And this is not necessarily a technology video, but it is about the United States of America, which I would like to know. So guys, let's go watch. Many people have recommended this video in my comments, and I had to check it out. Apart from that, we will go back to our stories and aircrafts and ships, and so let's go. No more talking.
They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day, in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis.
Okay.
Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter.
Okay.
And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies.
What?
Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth. He said, how are you going to do that?
Giving the Americans an ultimatum is a very big mistake, okay? I don't know if this is going to be a fighting video or whatever. Telling these guys to take down their flag and lay down their arms is a biggest mistake that the British Empire would have ever done, because I think from here they're only going to go down.
He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort.
Yep.
He said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule.
You know the Marine motto, surrender. Hell, we just got here. I don't know what these people were thinking, but I know they were practicing how to lose an empire, and lose an empire they did, because Americans take down their flag for you. No, you're just giving them words to their national anthem, the British. That was just words to their national anthem, because they are about to face you off.
Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed. He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling. Every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up.
America.
It's not down.
America.
The admiral came and he said, your
they
people
don't
are
go
insane.
down like that.
He said, what's the matter with them? He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees.
He will die on his feet before he will live on his knees. If you have ever heard of a statement more American than this, please, I'd like you to write it in the comments. Americans will die on their feet rather than live on their knees. Word.
The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point. Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer. God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it.
Can you imagine?
Sunrise came.
Can you imagine, bro?
He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top.
It was still at the top. I wish more Africans watch these videos, okay? Like, especially like the military leaders, the politicians, so we don't have to go about fighting all these little civil wars that we do and focus on national defense, like pride, always fighting amongst ourselves. Every country there's an insurgency fighting or something, stuff like that. But what if we unite? Each country is united. We focus on building ourselves and defending ourselves from external enemies than fighting internally. These are things of, I think, the 1770 something or 1760 something. I don't know. I don't remember. But this, I don't know if this was before the independence or after the independence. I remember America got independence 4th July 1776. Yep. So, can you imagine?
Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when hit had fallen, but men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died.
God. There's a different level of patriotism. Even now, we don't get to get that level of patriotism in any other country, including America. But this just says a lot from where they're coming from. Ancestors that are willing to, they see their flag not just like a piece of paper, piece of cloth, but like a symbol of sacrifice. And it is usually very painful to see somebody burning the flag of any country. No matter how angry you are, burning the flag of another country expresses or has absolutely zero effect. Just for the people who have died for that country, don't be silly, okay? Don't burn their flag. Do something else. There's another way of expressing yourself than burning flags. Is denigrating the memory of those who defended that country. Yep. Except for if it's a terrible country, like people burning the flags of Nazi Germany would have been a noble thing, or Imperial Japan. But let's go, guys.
Bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle
Red,
were patriots'
white,
bodies.
blue.
He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say, does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?" The debt was demanded. The price, it was paid.
God bless America. Thank you, guys.